Is warning, an absolute homer take is incoming. Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Dom Mafia Show. As always, your host, Dan Mitchell. Say if you're new here, I'm an avid member of the Bills Mafia, and I regularly put out videos about the Buffalo Bills and the NFL. So if that is your cup of tea, I highly recommend subscribing to this channel, and as always, smashing the ever-living out of that like button. Oh, the draft is complete. And don't get me wrong, I feel like after every single year of the draft, I am at an all-time high. I think Brandon Beane is an absolute genius, and I'm just riding high right into the season. Now, there's been a couple of years where I've been disappointed. Specifically, I think I can go with the 2019 draft, where just a lot of them didn't end up panning out. And then there was some drafts where I think we ended up stacking up steals of day one contributors and people that progressed at the perfect speed, and they are now a part of the Buffalo Bills team that we absolutely love. So today, when I look at each and every single pick that has been added to the Buffalo Bills roster, I am absolutely thrilled. I think Brandon Beane did a wonderful job of addressing the gaps that were so necessary for us to fill, and I also think that there are a lot more day one contributors on this list than a lot of people think. So in this video, we are going to be going through all 6 of the picks that the Buffalo Bills have added to their roster, and we are going to discuss what a final grade is from what we know now. Starting off, Dalton Kincaid. I'm sure you guys ended up seeing my in-depth analysis on him just a couple of days ago, so I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but holy shit, if you were to tell me that this man was falling that far, and that Brandon Beane was literally just going to go out there and lie to us and say there was no way that we are going to be trading up, more likely to move back, then I would have called you crazy. This kid right here, although he's not going to be one of the biggest blockers out there on the face of the planet, although I would say that he is relatively capable, most people are saying that this may have been one of the best pass catchers in the damn draft. And yes, that includes all other wide receivers that was taken before him. This kid has elite hands, a great route runner, and I genuinely believe that he's going to go out there within the first couple of weeks, and he's going to quickly turn into one of Josh Allen's favorite targets. This guy is a great route runner, like I said. There's not many linebacking cores out there that I would trust to go up against Kincaid and consistently win. Dare I say that this is the new Travis Kelce in the making? Maybe I don't want to go that far, but when I see a man put up 200 yards against University of Southern California in just one damn game, then it's hard for me not to be optimistic about this pick. I think that this was an absolute steal. I have no idea what other GMs were thinking as into why he wasn't picked up earlier, but for the love of God, I think that we completely addressed Josh Allen's lack of weapons in a very unorthodox way by grabbing this easily elite tight end rolling into this roster. Absolutely insane. Oh no, Dan, not another ad read. Trust me, you are going to thank me for this. Now, as many of you know, I work extremely long hours, 7 a.m. until I about pass out at 11 or midnight Monday through Friday, and you would think that I would be able to go to sleep and rejuvenate. You're absolutely wrong. My mind is still going a million miles a second, and for the most part, I'm staring at my ceiling until 3 a.m. Now, that is something that I have accepted for myself, but I needed to make a change. I needed to start taking naps, but once again, I can't nap either. Whether or not that it's my FOMO, or whether or not that I just can't get comfortable enough, or it's too bright, I have had no such luck until I ended up finding the Manta sleep mask. Now, little do you know, Manta truly believes sleep needs to be the #1 priority in order to achieve that particular level of success. Now, these things are ridiculously comfortable, and literally the second that you put it on, you feel like you're right next to Aaron Rodgers during one of his darkness retreats. I mean, look at this. Literally can't see shit. So you know what? I should probably apply to officiate in the NFL. Prerequisites right here. Now, Manta has several selections on their website. This particular is the Sleep Mask Pro. This company and this mask has really been able to help me prioritize what is most important, and that is my sleep, so I can keep on giving you that juicy content, baby. So whatever you're doing, go to that link in my bio and make sure you put in the code DONMAFIA, and they're going to give you an extra 10% off your first order. Trust me, you will not regret this. Night night, bitches. is next up Osiris Torrance, right? I mean, maybe I'm the crazy one, but I literally feel like each and every single mock draft that I was looking at, vast majority of them, 75 to 80%, had us taking Osiris Torrance in the first round, in the late 20s at number 27. So many mock drafts were going in that direction. So if you were to tell me that, yes, he would have been on this team, but we were to get him in the second round, I would have called you insane. But man, I mean, really outside of the fact that we just signed Latavius Murray and Damian Harris this offseason in free agency, and now we end up getting a run blocker exactly like Osiris Torrance. Like, this guy is an absolute stud when it comes to run blocking. I mean, literally right here, you can just go ahead and just take a look at what we have on this guy, an 89.9 PFF run blocking grade. It's clear that Brandon Beane wants our run game to really take a next step. Just very curious to see how that competition in camp is going to be between him and Ryan Bates, but from what I'm seeing right now, this guy is going to complement our run game tremendously, and maybe that might mean that we see a monster sophomore year from James Cook. With the third round, you see Dorian Williams, and obviously this was a hole that we knew needed to be filled once Tremaine Edmonds ended up going out to Chicago. And while I am not seeing Dorian coming in here and completely filling the shoes of Edmonds in his first year, let me just tell you that this guy is one of the best tacklers in the position group that came out of the 2023 NFL Draft. 6'1" and 228 pounds. Dude has an absolute crazy wingspan, sitting at 6'8", broad shoulders. And when it comes down into his overall performance in college, you're looking at an 87 coverage grade. Now, just to go into a little bit more context, Tremaine Edmonds was sitting at 90 in his first couple of years with the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I am comparing apples to oranges at this point because the level of competition that Dorian Williams ended up going up against is nowhere near NFL caliber, but it is a good start. Now with this, the camp competition is certainly going to be between him and Terrell Bernard going into it. However, I think that there's just a lot on paper where I see this guy being able to really solidify that middle of the field for the Buffalo Bills, especially with his tackling capabilities. It's like, dude had 97 tackles in 2022 and 36 assisted tackles. This guy tracks the ball very well, and I think that this is going to be working wonders in a very pass coverage preferred defensive style that McDermott likes to run. Since we ended up skipping out on the fourth round, we ended up grabbing a wide receiver to add to the mix of competition, and that is none other than Justin Shorter. It's a guy stands at 6'4", 229 pounds, and ran a 4.5 40. So on top of that, you're looking at a 75.2 PFF score in receiving grade, and grade versus man coverage is a whopping 81.5, which is very impressive. Essentially somebody that is also going to be competing for that deep ball distribution going into 2023. He was out of Florida. Florida certainly wasn't known for their receivers, essentially because Anthony Richardson just had to run all the time. But I think this is going to be pretty good for a fifth-round pick. I think this is great value, and it's bringing in more competition. And then hopefully we find another diamond in the rough. And so next up, we ended up picking up another guard, is Nick Broker. And then in round 7, we ended up picking Alex Austin and a DB out of Oregon State. Now, most of these guys had pretty decent PFF grades going into this, so I am very intrigued with these. Do I think that they might be camp casualties? Do I see them being practice squad guys going into 2023 based off of what I've seen so far? Absolutely. But we're not going to know until training camp happens in just a few months. So yeah, Bills Mafia, I would say overall, I'm going to have to give this draft an A-. And I mean, I was really trying to come up with a sincere grade of where I didn't come off as a damn homer. But I mean, when you look at this, I feel like that we legitimately addressed so many different holes, and I'm literally seeing 3 day one contributors within our first 3 picks that I think have made the Buffalo Bills better. For the longest time, especially before the draft, I couldn't look you in the eye and say, hey, I think the Buffalo Bills got better this offseason. For the longest time, I thought that we just essentially stayed the same. But with this draft, I can sleep a hell of a lot more confidently, and I'm very excited to see how these guys can overall progress. So do me a favor, leave a comment. What is your overall grade of this draft class? What players are you absolutely in love with? Who do you see being implemented day one? Sound off You know I love to hear from you. Say that you haven't already, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the family, and before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.